Virgo, something's approaching that'll catch you completely off guard, and how you respond in the first 30 seconds determines everything. Don't skip forward. This preparation saves you from fumbling what matters. Unexpected hits different than anticipated. When you know something's coming, you've rehearsed responses, you've prepared emotionally, you've created contingency plans for different scenarios. Your nervous system is primed, your defenses are positioned, your reactions, while maybe not perfect, are at least organized by the fact that you've had time to consider possibilities, to imagine how you'd handle various versions of what might unfold. But unexpected strips that preparation away, catches you raw, exposes you before you've had time to compose yourself, to put on the face you want to wear, to become the version of yourself you'd choose to be for this particular moment if you'd known the moment was coming. And in that exposure, in those initial seconds before your brain catches up to what's happening, you reveal your truth, your actual feelings stripped of performance, of strategy, of the careful curation you apply when you have time to think. This is why preparation matters even when the thing itself is unexpected. Not to script your response, not to fake something you're not feeling, but to understand yourself well enough in advance that when surprise arrives, when you're operating on instinct before conscious thought kicks in, your instinct serves you rather than betrays you, aligns with your actual desires rather than with your conditioned patterns that don't reflect what you genuinely want. Here's what's coming and why I'm warning you now instead of letting you discover it unprepared. Someone's about to reach out, contact you, appear in your digital space or maybe your physical space with communication you're not expecting because the silence has been long enough. The distance has been established enough. The chapter has been closed enough in your mind that reopening feels impossible, feels like something they wouldn't do, wouldn't risk, wouldn't attempt because surely they've moved on the way you've tried to move on, even if moving on has been more performance than reality. But they haven't moved on, haven't let go, haven't accepted the silence as permanent. And whatever's been building in them during the separation, whatever realizations or feelings or regrets or clarity they've been processing while you've been apart, it's reached critical mass. It's demanding expression. It's compelling them to break the silence despite not knowing how you'll receive it, despite risking rejection that might hurt more than the uncertainty they're currently living with, despite all the reasons they've probably been telling themselves not to reach out that are no longer strong enough to keep them from reaching out. The message is coming, the call is coming, the text that says, "Can we talk?" or the unexpected appearance at place they know you'll be. And when it arrives, you'll have maybe 30 seconds before you respond, 30 seconds where your unfiltered reaction happens before your thinking brain fully engages. 30 seconds where you feel everything you've been suppressing, where hope or anger or grief or joy surfaces before you've decided whether to allow those feelings, before you've determined which emotion serves you versus which emotion is just habit, just conditioning, just pattern repeating. Because that's what patterns do when they're not consciously interrupted. Those 30 seconds matter because how you respond initially sets trajectory for everything that follows. If you respond from reactive place, from old patterns, from emotions you haven't examined to determine if they're current truth or historical residue, you might say yes when you mean no, might say no when you mean yes, might engage in ways that later you'll regret because engagement wasn't chosen consciously but was just automatic response to stimulus. Let me prepare you for the specific forms this unexpected contact might take and what each form reveals about what they want. Form 1, the tentative message. Hey, I know it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Been thinking about you lately and wondering how you are. Surface level, safe, doesn't demand much, doesn't expose them too directly. This form means they're testing. Testing if you're still receptive, testing if the door is completely closed, or if there's opening for reconnection. Testing if you'll respond at all, because any response, even cold response, tells them you're at least willing to acknowledge their existence, to engage however minimally, which gives them data about whether escalating contact is worth the risk. Don't underestimate tentative message just because it seems casual. It's not casual. It's deliberate. It's them wading into water carefully to see how cold it is, how deep it is, whether drowning is likely if they dive in fully with the actual conversation they want to have, the actual feelings they want to express, the actual request they want to make. Uh, your response to tentative message sets tone. If you respond warmly, you signal openness. If you respond coolly but politely, you signal willingness to engage but with boundaries. If you don't respond at all, you signal the door is closed, that reaching out was mistake, that they should return to silence because you're not available for whatever they were hoping this contact might initiate. Form 2, the vulnerable confession. I miss you. I can't stop thinking about you. I need to tell you something I should have said before. Direct, exposed, no safety net. This form means they're done testing, done being careful, done protecting themselves through ambiguity or through maintaining appearances that they're fine without you. They're jumping straight to honesty, to vulnerability, to putting their feelings out there and hoping your reception is kind, even if your answer isn't what they're hoping for. Vulnerable confession demands serious response. You can't brush this off. You can't respond with surface level pleasantries when someone's given you their heart, their truth, their risk. You have to meet vulnerability with clarity, with honesty about whether you reciprocate, whether you're interested in exploring what their confession opens, whether you're available for what they're offering or asking for. Form 3, the urgent request. I need to see you. It's important. Can we meet? No explanation, just demand for your presence, your time, your attention. This form means something's happened that makes waiting feel impossible. Emergency, realization, situation that demands immediate communication rather than gradual reconnection. Could be crisis they need support for, could be information they need to share that impacts you, could be decision point that requires your input before they can move forward. Urgent request requires discernment. Is urgency real or manipulative? Is this actually emergency, or is it manufactured crisis designed to force your engagement? You don't owe immediate compliance just because someone frames their need as urgent. You're allowed to ask questions, to request context before agreeing to meet, to determine whether urgent to them means urgent objectively or just urgent in their emotional experience. This reflection invites you to consider: which form of contact are you most afraid of receiving, and what does that fear tell you about where you actually are emotionally? Now, let me address what preparation actually means beyond just knowing contact is coming. Preparation is examining yourself now before surprise happens, so that when it happens, you're responding from clarity rather than from confusion. Ask yourself now, do I want to hear from this person? Not should I want to hear from them based on what happened, what they did, what your friends think. Do you actually want to hear from them? Does some part of you light up imagining their message arriving? Or does the thought create dread, create anxiety, create wish that they'd just leave you alone to heal in peace? Your answer reveals where you are. If you want to hear from them, if you've been hoping despite telling yourself you shouldn't hope, then when contact arrives, your response can be honest. I'm glad you reached out. I've been thinking about you too. Or whatever version of that truth feels authentic to your specific feelings. If you don't want to hear from them, if the thought creates stress rather than excitement, then when contact arrives, you can be clear. I appreciate you reaching out, but I'm not in place where reconnecting serves me. I wish you well. Clean, honest, final if final is what you need. But examining this now, before surprise, means you're not trying to figure out how you feel while also managing their expectations, while also regulating their potential emotional reaction to your response. You've already done the work of knowing yourself. Response becomes simpler because internal clarity already exists. Second, preparation. Decide your boundaries before boundaries get tested. What are you willing to engage with? What topics are safe versus what topics reopen wounds that need to stay closed? What forms of contact are acceptable versus what forms violate space you've created? Maybe you're willing to text, but not to meet in person. Maybe you're willing to have one conversation, but not ongoing dialogue. Maybe you're willing to listen, but not to participate in reconciliation attempts. Maybe you're willing to provide closure, but not to explore rekindling relationship. Knowing boundaries in advance means enforcing them becomes easier. You're not making decisions in moment while emotionally activated. You're implementing decisions you made when you were calm, when you were thinking clearly, when you are centered in what actually serves your well-being rather than what appeases their feelings or what feels least uncomfortable in the moment. Third, preparation. Rehearse your first response, not to script it, to practice pausing. Practice not responding immediately just because message arrived and silence feels awkward. When unexpected contact comes, your impulse might be to respond right away, to answer the text within seconds, to pick up the call immediately, to say yes to meeting before you've actually processed whether meeting serves you. This impulse comes from social conditioning that says responding quickly is polite, that making people wait is rude, that availability should be immediate. But you don't owe immediate response to unexpected contact. You're allowed to pause, to sit with their message, to feel your feelings about it before deciding how to respond. To take hours or days, if you need hours or days, to determine what you actually want to do rather than what your autopilot programming says you should do. Practice now. When message comes, I will read it, I will close the message, I will sit with it for X amount of time before responding. X might be 10 minutes if you just need to breathe and center. X might be 24 hours if you need to process fully, to consult with trusted people, to really examine what this contact stirs in you. Pausing isn't game playing, isn't making them wait to punish them, is giving yourself the time you need to respond from intention rather than from reaction, from clarity rather than from confusion, from your actual desires rather than from conditioned patterns that don't serve you. This reflection invites you to consider what boundary feels most important to establish before unexpected contact arrives. Let me address the specific emotions that might surface in those first 30 seconds and how to navigate them. First emotion, hope. If you still have feelings for this person, if separation has been painful, if you've been wishing they'd reach out while telling yourself they won't, hope floods in immediately. Hope feels good, feels like relief, feels like finally, maybe this terrible thing is ending. Maybe we can fix this. Maybe I get to have them back. But hope without discernment is dangerous. Hope makes you overlook red flags, makes you minimize problems that caused separation, makes you willing to accept less than you deserve because having them in diminished capacity feels better than not having them at all. Feel the hope, acknowledge it, but don't let it determine your response. Let hope be one input among many inputs. Let it inform you that you're still invested, still care, still open to possibility. But balance it with reality of why you're apart, with assessment of whether conditions exist for different outcome than what happened before, with honesty about whether hope is based on who they actually are versus who you wish they were. Second emotion, anger. If they hurt you, if they left, if they're reaching out after making you feel disposable, anger surges. How dare they, after everything, after the silence, after the pain. Anger is valid, protective, telling you that boundaries were violated, that hurt occurred, that caution is warranted. But anger as sole response prevents nuance, prevents hearing whether they've changed, whether they're attempting repair, whether their reaching out is entitled demand or genuine attempt at accountability and reconciliation. Feel the anger, let it inform your caution, but don't respond only from anger unless anger is your full truth and you genuinely want them gone permanently. If there's any part of you that's open to conversation, that wants to hear what they have to say, that wonders if time has created space for something different, pause before letting anger write your response. Third emotion, fear. Fear that engaging will hurt you again. Fear that you'll fall back into patterns. Fear that you're not strong enough to maintain boundaries. Fear that hope will seduce you into choices you'll regret. Fear is information, is your system trying to protect you. Listen to what fear is protecting you from. If fear is saying this person is dangerous, this person will hurt you, this person hasn't changed and won't change, honor that. If fear is saying I'm scared of being vulnerable, I'm scared of trying and failing, I'm scared of hoping and being disappointed, that's different kind of fear. That's fear of discomfort rather than fear of actual danger. And you might choose to move through it rather than let it determine your response. Fourth emotion, confusion. You don't know what you feel. Multiple feelings exist simultaneously. You want them and don't want them. You're excited and terrified. You're open and guarded. Confusion is permission to take time, to not respond from confused place, to say, I need time to process this. To give yourself space to sort through the complexity instead of trying to respond coherently when internally you're a mess of conflicting impulses and unexamined reactions. This reflection invites you to consider which emotion do you predict will be strongest when contact arrives, and how will you keep it from being only emotion that influences your response. Finally, let me give you specific language for that first 30 seconds. If you want to engage, I'm glad you reached out. I need some time to think about how I want to respond. Can I get back to you in time frame? This keeps door open while giving you the pause you need, honors their courage in reaching out while protecting your need for clarity before deeper engagement. If you don't want to engage, I appreciate you thinking of me. I'm not available for reconnecting right now. I hope you understand. This is clear without being cruel, closes door without slamming it in their face, gives them answers so they can stop wondering while maintaining your boundary. If you're genuinely unsure, I wasn't expecting to hear from you. I have complex feelings about this and need time to sort through them. Is it okay if I take some time before responding more fully? This is honesty, is vulnerability that matches their vulnerability, is human response that acknowledges the complexity without pretending you have clarity you don't have. Something unexpected is approaching. You're as prepared as you can be without knowing exactly what they'll say. When it arrives, pause. Feel what you feel. Respond from your truth, not from your conditioning. Those first 30 seconds determine whether you engage from empowered place or from reactive place. Choose empowerment, choose pause, choose clarity over impulse. You're ready.